This is weird, isn't it? I'm outside today. It's a weird choice. I actually chose it because I'm talking about a particularly favorite game of mine that I've been playing a lot recently. It's a retro game. It's called Pokemon Ranger. It's a game about nature. So I feel like talking about my uh, game that I like a lot in my office where it's air conditioned and nice and there's a chair that doesn't gonna fall over if I sit wrong in it is maybe not the most fitting environment. So there's a little more noise out here. There's cicadas going on. There's an AC unit because it's quite hot outside. It's cooler than it was in uh, a few videos ago, however many videos ago that was. I think it was 2 videos ago now by the time you're seeing this. And today we're talking about Pokemon Ranger, as you have guessed from the title. And you might be thinking, your thumbnail said it's Pokemon but Beyblades. It is. Let me explain. The first thing we got to establish, though, is that this is a Pokemon spinoff, and I actually think Pokemon spinoffs are very hit or miss, which is a shame because Pokemon as a franchise is so much more than its mainline games. A lot of times, the mainline games get the brunt of the criticism, rightfully so. Scarlet and Violet were absolutely broken at launch. Sword and Shield weren't much better. I think the last time we had a solid mainline Pokemon launch was honestly Black and White. It's been a while since then. The spin-offs, though, have ranged from wow, I'm surprised that was good to wow, I did not know they could be that bad. And there's been a lot less bad ones because there's just been a lot less of them lately. But in the late 2000s, early 2010s, we were getting a lot of Pokemon spin offs, and Pokemon Ranger happens to be one of them. I think it exemplifies what makes a good Pokemon spin off and why Pokemon spin offs can really, really work. And we should get more of them. First thing we got to do is say, okay, what makes a good Pokemon spin off? I think it needs to be a good mix of a good idea and good execution because Pokemon as an IP gives you so much room to work in. You can do a lot with these characters. Mystery Dungeon is a great example. Um, that is a good idea with good execution. It's a Mystery Dungeon game. You get to be a Pokemon and talk to the Pokemon. It's good execution. There's also Pokemon Dash, which is a good idea, a Pokemon racing game with bad execution. You can only play as Pikachu, and there's no courses, and it sucks really, really bad. And it's like a tech demo that was barely finished in time for the Nintendo DS. Then there is the not great idea, but good execution list, which is stuff like Pokemon Cafe. Honestly, it's not a very original idea. It's just Tetris, not Tetris, Bejeweled, but it's good execution. Like it's fun to play, so it works, but it's not that unique, right? So I think a good Pokemon spinoff really needs to be that nice blend of it's a good idea and it's got good execution, like Pokopia. Pokopia is a game that I cannot believe took so long to make. That was the AC unit there. Because Pokopia is a good idea. It's Animal Crossing, but Pokemon. It's also got a bit of Minecraft mixed in there too. It's kind of a lot of games. And good execution. It's made very well. It could be my game of the year. I'm still not sure. I'm kind of between that and Star Fox and Requiem. I have a lot of options. It's been a good year for games. Don't let anybody tell you it's not a good year. It's a great year for games. But Pokopia really exemplifies what's so good about a Pokemon spinoff. Good idea, good execution. Now, how does Pokemon Ranger do this? Pokemon Ranger says, all right, what can the Pokemon do that is not just battling? Because all of the mainline games are so battle focused, they're so battle centric that that's the way we look at Pokemon. We look at them as tools for battle. And we're told the Pokemon like it, so it's okay, which is always fun to bring up when people are like, are you making those animals fight? Yeah, it's fine, they like it. And if I beat this kid, he gives me money. It's chill. Pokemon Ranger instead says, what if you are here to help people and Pokemon at the same time? So your character has this thing called a capture styler, which is the stylus of the DS, which allows you to create loops, which then befriends the Pokemon, which you then can use to get out of different situations. Sometimes there's fires that need to be put out, sometimes there's boulders in the way, and the Pokemon have their unique overworld abilities where they can go and they can clear this. So it's really cool because it shows how Pokemon can interact with the environment outside of just use surf, use rock climb, use fly, right? Like those things I don't think are very interesting because essentially it's just which one of your Pokemon knows that move. versus Pokemon Ranger, which can really make a puzzle out of it. Because sometimes you'll find that in order to get past a barrier, you need a Pokemon that can cut. Okay, where do you find a Pokemon that can cut? Well, he's behind a boulder. Okay, so I need to find something that can smash a boulder. How do I do that? Well, you need a Pokemon that can douse the boulder because it turns out there's another boulder next to it that's Graveler, and you have to startle a Graveler to wake it up, to then catch it, to then use the Graveler to break the boulder to get a Sceptile that can then cut a fence, which can then lead to the next area. That's cool, and I like it. It's cool design. I also like that it focuses on how Pokemon ecologically can be really dangerous because there's a lot of talk about what Pokemon can do to the environment, and it is a very interesting idea. You know, a lot of my friends don't believe me when I say I don't think I'd want to live in the Pokemon world because it seems chaotic and stressful. Because these monsters can alter our environment at a whim, and they're like, I don't know if that's true. It's like, no, no. Entei can spawn volcanoes or something like that. I don't know. Gyarados exists, right? Like that's terrifying. You can't sail anymore because there's Gyarados out. But I like that it focuses on that, and I like that it shows a different side of Pokemon. And it doesn't go too in depth with that because it's a Pokemon game, but it's still nice to see it try. Something else that it does that makes it a very good game is the way it mechanically works as well. So I mentioned earlier that you use the stylus to capture Pokemon with loops, right? And you're not really capturing them, you're befriending them, you're emotionally tuning to them or something to that effect. So you use your stylus on your DS and you draw loops around the Pokemon. There's a specific amount of loops that you have to complete. Once you do that, the Pokemon is considered befriended. And a lot of times, if they're wild Pokemon, they'll be added to your friends list. Basically, a group of Pokemon that you carry around like your team, which can either use their overworld abilities like we talked about, or they can also be used while looping. That's what I'm calling it now. It's looping. So a good example is a water type allows you to use your little Beyblade to build a bubble that you then flick and will capture a Pokemon so you can loop it. Pretty cool, right? And I really like capturing. I gotta stop saying capturing. I like befriending Pokemon this way because their assists are so unique. Like psychic types, some of their assists are they just come out and blind everything on the screen. I like that. I think that's fun. Poison types, sometimes when you draw the loop, the poison gas will go and stun them. Um, Fire types do the same thing but with fire, but sometimes they do something different. I don't fully remember off the top of my head. I could look it up, but this isn't that kind of video. And I like it a lot. Mechanically, I think it works very, very well. It's got its own unique sense of challenge because you can't just blindly spin. A lot of times, the harder Pokemon are very difficult to loop, and you actually have to learn strategies. Like, you have to learn not to close off the loop every so often and then kind of loop your way back around. As long as you're making loops, the counter still goes down, but you have to avoid Pokemon attacks. Because if the Pokemon attacks and it breaks your capture line, then you lose energy on your styler. If you lose all your energy on your styler, you lose the game. Unfortunate. The game also doesn't have autosave, so you need to save your game a lot. That's one of those older game things. Whenever I talk about friction, I talk about friction in gaming. That's one of those things I talk about where, like, it's annoying, but it does up the stakes. We can't lie about that. So overall, I think Pokemon Ranger is a really cool example of good Pokemon spin-off games. It's very mechanically unique. It's a game that can only really exist on the DS, and I don't think you could do it again on Switch because I mean, do you include a stylus for this game? You know, because it does do quite a number on your touchscreen if you're not careful. I was very worried about that after I first started playing it. I was like, oh, geez, my 3DS. And yes, I do own a 3DS. I know I said they were overrated, but I did buy one a while ago and had it. I just think now they're overrated. Why am I quantifying this? Anyways, all this to say, I really like Pokemon Ranger. I have not played the sequels yet, but those are next on my list. I think it goes up there with Pokemon Conquest, Pokopia, and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon as the stronger Pokemon spin-off games. And I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more get you mechanically unique. Because like Pokemon Snap is another one that is very unique in its idea. Look at the Pokemon. Take pictures of them. That's neat. What other ideas are there? I don't know. That's not for me to determine. What do you think about Pokemon spin-offs? Are they cool? Are they bad? Should we get more? Should we get less? Will Game Freak ever stop under delivering? It's hard to say. This is day 11 of 30 of my daily video uploads. I've uploaded 11 videos to this point, which is very cool. We're almost to the halfway point. If you liked this video, always helps to support the channel with a like, a subscribe, helps to watch the playlist here of my other videos that I've filmed. You can go in order. You can see me progressively get better at this as I go, which I think is pretty neat. You can see me start to experiment because, again, I'm outside today because it's not too hot. But your support means a lot to me because I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this because I have something to say and I want to say it. So hopefully you enjoy hearing that. Thanks for watching.